Welcome, everybody. Winning's amazing. It solves a whole lot of issues. You got fewer people in the training room. The attitude during team meeting yesterday was unbelievable. Watching the highlights and being proud of themselves, and it's amazing. You watch the Commanders last night. Chicago wins a game with I think like 47 seconds left, and then you think it's over, and then they throw a last-ditch play in the end zone, and it gets tipped and caught, and all of a sudden you went from winning to losing in 1 second. And that what happened. Then everything that's good's kind of thrown out when you lose, and everything that's bad's kind of pushed aside, and you win the game. And it's just all about winning and losing. So I do want to start again, and this is the last time I'll talk about it, but the class that the University of Virginia showed was really impressive. I didn't know till yesterday that they had a moment of silence for Tali before the game, 13 seconds, which was really classy. I didn't know that. We were in the locker room. I'll tell the players. I think I mentioned that the players at Virginia wrote our players a note for their grief and the passing, which was very classy. I got letters from 3 of the coaches, Tony one of them, on top of text messages. And then Tony and I talked some about big grief and handling things before the game. I mean, it doesn't just go away. You know, these are life things and things that we learn, and no matter how old you are, or you're still losing a 23-year-old. And for them to wear the sticker, which I did remember a lot of us wore stickers when they lost their 3 players on the helmets, but sometimes you have to put the competition aside and really think about what's best for both, and that's what Tony and his staff did for us. So I really, really appreciate that. I've said all along this is a team that I thought would keep getting better, and we showed that Saturday. That's the best we've played as a game, as a team, the entire game since Minnesota, and Minnesota's turned out to be a really good team. As I said, their quarterback's playing well. They jumped all over Maryland this weekend. They beat USC. They're having a tremendous year. But the guys played free. They played loose. I thought they had fun. They looked like they had confidence, and that's something that we haven't seen for an entire game for a while. And the keys to victory, the things that we've got to accomplish, they did. Throughout the game, the middle 10 we talk about as coaches, the last 5 minutes of the half, first 5 minutes of the second half, we outscored them 21-0. And the drive with 4 minutes left was really important to score with 1:32 left. And then we were able to save our timeouts, get them on a 3-and-out. They punt to us, and we go down, and what an unbelievable catch, throw and catch by J.J. Jones right before the half. Those are plays we haven't been making. And we talked to the team during the week about pressure's a privilege. So if we choose you to make the play to win the game, that's pressure, but that's a privilege because we trust you. And you've got to step up and make that play. And JJ made that play on Saturday before the half. And I think that was probably the play of the game because you get that much momentum going into half when they get the ball to start the second half. We might have gotten 3 there, but taking the deep shot, we had 5 seconds left. The penalty would have given us a shot at a field goal. But if he hadn't kept his feet in and had control of the ball, we wouldn't have scored. And that, again, made all the difference in the world. Offensively, we ran the ball. Omarion got over 1,000 yards. He's only the 9th Tar Heel to have done that in back-to-back seasons. He's one of 6 Tar Heels to have at least 16 100-yard games in his career so far. So it's really impressive. He's obviously one of the best players in our school history with a lot of football left for him. So very, very proud of him. Jacoby Criswell continues to get better and more comfortable. That was by far his best game and his first win. So I feel like the offensive staff is getting more comfortable with what he does best. He's getting more comfortable with the offensive line and checking the protections because we didn't give up a sack, which was impressive. And we had no turnovers. So those 2 things are the reasons you win games on offense. We scored touchdowns in the red zone instead of field goals. We didn't do well on 2 4th-and-1s. And those are things that we've got to do a better job. We should be making our 4th and 1s. We had 5 penalties on offense, 4 of them were holding, so we've got to do a better job in that area. And we had very few penalties for the game. You all should get something changed. I've never realized this, but when you kick off out of bounds, that's a penalty, and they don't count it as a penalty on the stat sheet. Because I was looking for our penalties, and I said we had a penalty for kicking off out of bounds, and they said they don't put that on the stat sheets. Jeremy couldn't answer it for me. I'd never heard it. I'm just trying to find it. I said, no, we had 6 penalties. We didn't have 5. And they said, no, that's not a penalty on the stat sheet. I said, well, they marked it off. Yeah, they threw a flag. They marked it off. So it is a penalty. But since it's an untimed down, but it seems like it should be a pre-snap penalty to me on stats. So it makes no sense to me whatsoever. Never heard it. I was just looking for it because I knew we had it, and I knew they didn't turn it down. So I was trying to figure out, but we've got to kick the ball off better, was my point moving in. But we had 6 penalties, 5 are on record is what we had. We had 3 last, and I said we made them mad because it was 7-0 at the end of the first quarter, and we stirred them up. And then I can remember Coach Bowden had Anthony Carter, I think, was the running back receiver at the end, and he ran a reverse late in the game and got the 77th point. So after the game, I said, why do you do that? I mean, why do you run it up like that? And he said, I was coaching at West Virginia, and I was ahead of Pittsburgh 34-0 going into the 4th quarter. I took them all out, and I got beat 35-34. And he said, I will never, ever take my foot off the gas again in coaching. And he said, the other thing, I want to beat you so bad that next year when I play you, you're just trying to keep from getting embarrassed. You don't think you got any chance to win a game. And I thought both of those made sense to me. And then we got in the locker room, and I'll never forget, a young GA came over to me and said, Coach, this is your school, and you played here. They actually had a team reunion with my team coming back for the 77-14 loss. And he said in the locker room, there'll be a time you'll make Coach Bowden pay for that. And I said, well, as long as I'm at Tulane and he's at Florida State, probably not. So, and I was right.
Yeah, you never did.
No, we couldn't beat him. We had our chances. We had a couple, but nobody else beat him either. It's interesting, everybody says, well, you never beat Florida State when you were here before. I said, yeah, nobody else did either.
What do you think about the quarterback situation, too? How's Connor Harrell handled this whole situation for a guy who's starting like the second inning?
Yeah, Chip, thanks for bringing that up. Connor's been unbelievable. He was so happy after the win Saturday, and he's helping Jacoby on the sidelines, and he's running around talking to players. And I really was hoping that we'd get a stop with 7 minutes left and get Connor in so he could play the last drive and let him play, because we still may need him. But he is in a time where people are talking about transferring and pouting, and I'm going to opt out, and I'm not going to play because you put him in my place. Connor Harrell is one of the nicest kids I've ever been around, and the smartest. He's one of the top students in our business school. He'll graduate here. He's going to make more money than all of them, playing football or not. He's just a special young man, but thank you for asking, because he's very unique and very unusual. It's nearly like he's a coach. And practices hard. He had a great practice last week. And Jacoby's been hit a couple of times where I think we'll see Connor again at some point.
I know I asked you about JJ the other day up there at UVA, and you said, well, you know, a lot of it has to do with the quarterback situation. I mean, JJ playing better. To what do you attribute the fact he was getting those unsportsmanlike conduct penalties earlier in the season? What do you think was going on there with him? How has he gotten past it? Did you talk to him about it and tell him to cut it out? Like, where do you think he's gotten to now with his game, to where it seems like he's sort of unlocking who you thought he could be?
Yeah, we've got to think that his best friend was Tylee Kraft. And he watched him getting sick and sicker and sicker. And when there's a tremendous amount of pressure on these young people anyway. And then sometimes when it's not working on the field as well, whether it was him getting balls or us winning games, then a certain amount of frustration builds up. And then people show their frustration in different ways. And Lonnie Galloway is one of the best coaches and people I've ever been around. He loves those kids so much, and he was so vested in Tylee's life and his health and sickness here at the end that Lonnie just sat down with him and said, "Come on now, we can't. This isn't you. This isn't you." And he's wonderful. I mean, he's a great person. It's frustration. We can sit in here. They work so hard. And when you work that hard and maybe you're not being as productive as you dreamed in your last year and the team's not winning, it puts a lot of pressure on these kids, a tremendous amount of pressure. And that's what always gets me when a fan said, "I've put so much into this." And I thought, yeah, you know what? These players have too. They've worked every day of their life to get to this point. And he's got 4 guaranteed games left if he stays healthy. And then there's no guarantees after that. And that's what we've said. So these kids want to win. And that's what I would challenge the fans. The last 4 games, stick with them, man. They are trying so hard. And the norm is to quit. The norm is to be pointing fingers and opt out. And they're playing hard. They're practicing hard. They're trying hard. So, but that's total frustration. And you learn from it. You got to learn from it and move forward.
Sorry, Coach, he brought up the other day when we were talking to him at UVA, the haters on social media. So, yeah, I think he brought it up unprompted, honestly. So it seems like he's heard some of the negativity.
Oh, they read what you all write. They're on their phones all the time. So that's part of the distractions. They hear what our fans say that are bad to them. And the good fans don't get on the internet. You know, they don't praise them. Even if they love JJ, they send me notes. I've gotten more positive notes probably this year than I've ever gotten about hang in there and keep fighting and doing those type things. But the great positive fans that really are for the kids more than their egos are the ones that write the notes and are worried about the kids and worried about their mental health and worried about Tylee. And I got a letter this morning from a fan at Louisville that said Louisville football hates your loss and have watched you all play. And you know, it's just a lot of times in tragic times, people step up and they're more positive than ever. And I've actually seen that happen in so many cases.
After watching the full film of a healthy Cayman Rucker and the effect that he had Saturday and connecting it with the opener and everything that happened in between, can you quantify just how much he makes everything better on that side of the ball?
Yeah, probably not. Andrew, if you think he is one of the best players in college football. I mean, he was the 4th leading rusher or pressuring quarterbacks last year in the country. And then he's so positive and he's upbeat and he's so confident. And you take that away and all of a sudden you're playing 2 young ones in his place. Immediately, you've lost a lot of who you are. And then when you have Des Evans on one side and him on the other side, it's hard to chip or double team when you've got 2 of them. So then you lose one and they can say, okay, let's put extra help over here with 10 because these young ones are not there yet. I mean, Saturday he was such an impact that he changed the game with his performance and helped the others be one-on-one, and then it gave them opportunities to get there, which is harder to do without him there. So yes, he's a total impact player for us.
Unrelated to that, I want to ask you about Will Hardy, who hasn't played a whole lot, played every snap, I think, on defense the other day. You had Jakeem Harris out. What was it for Will to have that kind of performance? Because he's kind of been a little up and down.
Yes, Will played his best game probably since he's been here. He tackled well in space. He's a settling effect out there because he's been around a long time. And now everybody is shifting and motioning so much. And it's been interesting, the dynamic with all the shifting and motioning and you trying to talk to the linebacker with 15 seconds left to get everybody lined up, and then everybody waits till after the 15 seconds where you can't talk to them anymore and shifts. and changes to something else. So everybody's playing mind games now with the communication to the players. Same with Jacoby. They would all wait till 15 seconds left and shift, slide to a different defense so Chip couldn't talk to him. But I do think that that's an important game for Will anyway, and Will's a really good player, but he had committed to Virginia and I think flipped in December. So I was really, really proud for him that he played so well and made some really impressive tackles.
Mack, you guys will be off again after the Florida State game this week in the second bye in the span of 4 weeks. What do you make of that? That seems like a pretty unique scheduling quirk that you guys have this season.
Yeah, I don't like it, Michael, as much because you'd rather have them spread out. You'd rather have one early in the year, maybe after the fourth game, and then one at the end. But with the youth in the offensive line and the injuries that we've had now, some in the secondary, it's probably a blessing for us that we're going to have another week off to get well and to help Jacoby continue to grow as we go into the last 3-game stretch.
Matt, one more thing about Jacoby. Some of us were here. I think Jeremy had a setup over there when the transfers came in. And you talked about he had to get in shape and do spring practice. But I think some of us remember he was at the podium and he was tapping his right arm like this. And then someone asked him about it at the end. Remember that, Adam?
Called it the moneymaker.
And he said, it's my meal ticket, right? Something like that.
It's the moneymaker.
Moneymaker, yeah.
So,
I remember that.
to me, you know, you said he wasn't going to play because he was here too late. We had 2 guys in front of him. But the guy said that. He had tremendous confidence, it seems. Did you realize he had that kind of confidence?
No, because he's never played. I mean, that was we go back, Art, to the spring game with he and Drake. He probably played better in the spring game than Drake, and then he pulled a hamstring in the summer workouts, and Drake took over, and then Drake threw 5 touchdowns against Florida A&M in the opener, and then it all changed. It's really interesting to me. Everybody says, "Well, you've had Drake and you've had Sam." Yeah, nobody thought either one was any good until we got them out there and they played pretty good. The thing Jacoby's always had, he's got great feet, but he's got a rocket for an arm, and he's got a quick release. There's no question in my mind he has a chance to be an NFL player. He's just got to continue to grow, and his life has been disadvantaged in so many ways, and he's overcome that. His football has been disadvantaged in so many ways. He's had such bad luck. And here he is. He's overcoming it too because he's got a great attitude. And I told him, if you're coming here to start, I wouldn't come. And he still came. So he is a confident person. And he also he's got strong faith. And he believes that you keep doing what you're supposed to do and things are going to work out. And he has, when we told him you're not going to play till spring, he wasn't mad, he wasn't frustrated, he didn't say that's not fair, he just said, I got it, I'll keep working. So you really pull for him because he deserves a break and he's finally got it. And like we said, based on what he accomplished, he could have won the last 2 games. So hopefully he'll have a great finish here. And what a story. There's never been a better story than his, for what he's been through before football, during football, and now what he's accomplishing at the end if he can finish this thing right.
Zach, do you worry at all about emotional drain or emotional letdown from the last few weeks? It's obviously been a lot, and then you get this big release on Saturday, and it's like, here's another game.
Yes, absolutely. We're all learning. We've all had some grief in our life and mourning. And you're, I mean, at the level of emotions is all over the place. I mean, I still can't. I'm a very emotional person, but I can't talk about Tylee. I couldn't talk about our conversations with Tony before the game without breaking down. And it's so we all handle grief so differently. I've always been one that tried to keep my mouth shut and just handle it, and sometimes in this position you can't do that. You got to talk about it, and it's probably healthier for me to talk about it than it would be to keep it all in here like I normally do. But it's for the team, that's absolutely a question, and we've got a great mental health team that's really helped and been available. And for staff, you've got staff that not only I've learned through this, and I was probably too young at Texas to really understand what it did to fathers and grandfathers, but I've learned through this that it triggers things in your own life that come up. So I go back and think about my brother laying there with cancer, and I think about my mother laying there with cancer and seeing them at the end before we buried them. I think about Cole Pittman dying at Texas now. Our coaches go back and think about their children and what happens if it's one of my children laying there. So there's when you lose a person, it's bigger than just losing a person and burying a young person. It affects all of us in so many different ways. I know sitting there watching that casket close last week is something I said I never want to do to my kids. So just part of it.
Is there anything new about Mitch?
No, he didn't come yesterday, so we're going to check on him again today. We did, it was really cool that they did get him on FaceTime. We were worried we wouldn't have good connection because we were having trouble. And he led the prayer on Saturday. He looked good while he was doing it. And then he led the song for them to sing afterwards, and they started a Mitch, Mitch, Mitch chant. So that really picked him up. But he's everybody needs to keep him in prayers too.
When it comes to
Max is going really well. He's, I think, Chip, and we can get an update. I think in the next 2 or 3 weeks he may get to walk with a cane and get off his crutches for the first time. He still can't travel. He still has trouble sitting for a long time with his hip. It's just been an awful injury for a college football player trying to rehab and get back. And he is back here. He's at practice now. He's at meetings. He's in team meetings. He's in there with Chip talking to quarterbacks and helping coach. So his mental health is much better now than it was, because we were worried about him early, because you lose everything. And then you go through him losing his right to play when he thought we had a good team and this was his chance, and then you go back and see Tylee lose his life. Then you feel like, well, I shouldn't be feeling this bad about a bad hip, and so it's just the emotions of life that we all deal with.
When it comes to Amarian, as you mentioned, he's already at that 1,000 yards, and obviously you want to give him the ball as much as you can. What type of conversations, I guess, as a staff, have you all had with him as far as him managing his workload, and then also the the physical aspect of that, of him, what he needs kind of to do to take care of his body and sustain?
Well, Marian's such a wonderful person. He doesn't care. He wants it every time. He'd cover kickoffs if he could. He really would. I mean, he gets mad when we bring him out, and I get mad when he takes him out. We're at the 20, and I'm saying, "Where's Omarion?" He said, "Coach, he's run it 36 times. He's tired." And I said, "Well, he's not tired. He's standing right there next to you. He looks good." But he wants to win. I love the fact that we got it to him out of the backfield the other day 2 or 3 times, and he's really special. And I've been preaching that, get him in space. But I thought he looked as good the other night as I've seen him this year. The other day, I was really pleased with him. But he when we brought him up afterwards and gave him a ball for his 1,000 yards, they said, "Speech, speech, speech, speech." He said, "Nope," and walked off. That was it. So there was no speech in there whatsoever.
Would be a speech for him, right? Just
Yeah.
saying something.
Well, the fact he walked up, I was surprised. So
I was trying to figure out what you meant by him being mad. How would he show that?
he just wouldn't talk, and that's what he normally does, so you can't tell the difference.
Coach Brown, punting protection seems to be much improved.
Yes.
Has Tom McGinnis practiced better than he performs? Like, what do you see out of him over these hours?
Yes, that's another great question. He's, he's never played college football, and so operation time is really important. And with him, you can have the conventional punt, and you can have the rugby punt, and you check it at the line of scrimmage, and you check it based on protections. And then sometimes you mess it up. So he has really done a good job with that. And last time we went to Tallahassee, we had 2 block punts. So they're going to come after him. So that was part of the staff talk this morning. But he's doing a better job of getting it off with operation time. And we're doing a better job with our shield and moving people around. And so it's just the whole thing is better. But it's funny when football can get really complicated. So when you've got a quarterback and a center, and both of them are new, and you're trying to check the protections while they're all moving around, and you've got 15 seconds left to do it, you need experience at both of those. And if I vote Duke or Wake Forest or NC State or Clemson down below, somebody thinks that that's a fight. So you really can't vote for who you want to, and it'd be best for your program. So I just quit. I said, if you'll let me vote and keep it private, I'm fine. I don't need to be sitting here worried about, I want to vote for who I think is the best team. I don't want to vote for what looks best politically. And some coaches have Jeremy do it till the season's over. And I did that once at Texas. I think John Bianco did it. He forgot to put Missouri in there, and we played them the next week, and they were 20th or something. They said, he didn't even put us in there. And I thought, John, man, come on.
Spurrier used to put Duke 25th every time.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
No.
Like when he was in Florida, he would vote Duke 25th no matter where they were.
Yeah.
0-10,
Well, if you look at the preseason polls, they are so bad. They're so bad. And media ducks it. They never want to talk about their picks when their picks are awful. Not to say anyone in this group picked some that are not still up there.
Well, I guess
But-
what I was getting at was, I assume you would have been on board with FSU being the preseason favorite, is what I'm saying, in the league.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's what I was getting at.
Absolutely. That's why college football's changed so much. You can't tell. I mean, you just absolutely can't tell. Who would have picked Vanderbilt to beat Alabama? Who would have picked Texas and Vanderbilt to be onside kicking at the end of the game Saturday? I mean, it's you. You better go ready to play. I mean, it's every week. And when people say, "Are they ready to play?" I thought we were ready to play James Madison. I mean, practice was good. Pregame was good. They looked focused. I watched them in pregame. I mean, so I just don't think you can tell anymore. You just got to coach the heck out of them when you get them on the field.
I saw something the other day, the preseason top 5 in the Big 12 are the bottom 5 right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but transfer portal has made it where we have no idea who's at each place now. Some of these aren't even there in spring practice. And I said, when I worked for ESPN, they were telling me before the national championship game, pick the 4 finalists for next year. I said, I don't even know who's coming back. They said, it doesn't matter, just pick them. But I really think the first time that we should even think about polls are for the college football playoff polls. By then, you've earned something. And other than that, it's just for media fodder, because all we're saying is that team was picked early. I didn't pick us. So but we don't know. We just don't know anymore.
Right.
Thank you all.
Appreciate it.